Day, Labor Day, but we do still need the rain across the area. So on your drought monitor, this is your yearly departure, about 13 inches in West Palm Beach, almost 9 in Fort Pierce, and about 11 in Vero Beach. We do still need the rain along our coast mainly, but checking out your temperatures this morning, we're waking up in the 70s out the door. We're looking at 75 in Indiantown. We have 77 in Stewart, 77 in West Palm, and 75 in Boca. But let me tell you, it is a warm and very muggy start. We have a boundary that's just going to lock in a lot of that moisture and humidity, so that's what we can expect to deal with for today. But after all, we live in South Florida, so we're used to it. You might want to seek some relief and go to the beach. You know, we are expecting to see a moderate rip current risk. I do expect to see the waves and as well as seas to get a little bit rougher as we do have that low pressure system over the area. So just something to keep in mind. Always exercise caution in the waters. We also do still have a high UV index of about 11 for today. Something to just keep in mind, despite we do have the chance of dealing with some storms later this afternoon. I'll break it all down for you. That's a pretty generous ask. Anyways, let's talk about the tropics here. We do have an area of, I'd say, moderate interest. It's going to pull off the west coast of Africa right now, just providing some decent rain and thunderstorms across the Cape Verde Islands. Now, this system looks to start to curve towards the central Atlantic. It, as of right now, does not pose a threat to us here at home. And keep in mind, this system hasn't even begun to really develop at all. So just dealing with a 40% chance of seeing any further development within even the next week. One thing to keep in mind as we're starting to near the peak of hurricane season, the breeding grounds to see these tropical systems actually starts to shift mainly towards the western portion of the Atlantic. So even to see one of those Cape Verde hurricanes start to develop, it's going to become more unlikely as we get further into the season. So most of us will be paying more attention or closer attention to the western Atlantic and as well as the Caribbean as we get later in the season. And unfortunately, we do have the chance of dealing with a couple storms possible this afternoon. As of this morning right now, we do have this boundary just towards the north of us. It's just lightly draped over the area, but that low pressure system is going to dig into the region and bring us some higher rain chances, especially for the middle of this week. As of this morning, though, we're waking up dry conditions and temperatures in the 70s. We have 75 in Sebastian, 79 in Wellington, and 77 in Boynton Beach. Folks that are hoping to get outside and enjoy today, most of us are going to have an absolutely stunning and also a dry day, but I just want to make you aware of it. It's going to be quite hot out there. So if you are going to be playing pickleball or any other of those court sports, high temperatures are going to stay around the lower 90s. However, keep in mind, on the court, you have that reflectivity. So make sure you do have that sunscreen at the ready, especially for your chin. My chin actually got sunburnt the other day on the tennis court, but make sure you also are going to stay well hydrated, as it always runs a bit hotter on those court temperatures or court surfaces. Let's get into the Vipercast here and talk about those stormy details. You know, it's really going to be fairly isolated today. Stopping your Vipercast now at 3 o'clock this afternoon. A couple isolated storms on the coastline, and then moving into the later evening time frame, I expect to deal with a couple more isolated scattered showers and storms on the board. Not a complete washout by any means. I still think you're going to have too busy out there. I just want to highlight one isolated shower close towards Indiantown early this morning, and it's just going to be a brief little light rain shower that's going to move across the area. Everyone else will just see a mix of sun and clouds as you're waking up this morning. Actually, sunrise isn't until 6:59. Isn't it crazy? That's getting closer towards that 7 o'clock time frame. But anyways, your temperatures this morning, we're seeing them in the 70s as you're heading out the door. 75 right now in Fort Pierce, 77 in West Palm Beach, and 77 in Jupiter as well. With my little Kenzie girl, I had to bring her in for this morning because she's going to have a little bit of a problematic afternoon in some areas, as we do have the chance of dealing with a couple isolated storms possible after about 2 o'clock this afternoon. But keep in mind, it's still going to be a toasty day out there. High temperatures in the upper 80s, most of us hitting the lower 90s though. So something to keep in mind if you do have some outdoor plans. Make sure you stay well hydrated, and don't forget about your four-legged friends that get hot and tired too, because I'm sure they're going to be competitive. Anyways, this morning we're going to start to focus on conditions on the waters, just because we are seeing everything can get turned up a little bit as we are going to deal with some higher rip current risks, as we do have a low pressure system digging just off our coastline. So dealing with a moderate rip current risk for today. Seas about 2 to 3 feet, but overall I'd say not too shabby throughout the Intracoastal, just a light chop. So a decent day, I would say, for your Labor Day holiday. One thing to keep in mind, we are going to start off with a fairly dry note, a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures warm up quickly to the lower 90s. But as we get into the afternoon, we do have the chance of dealing with a couple isolated storms across the area. I'll have Vipercast shortly, but be cautious if you're going to be on the water. Outside around like 9:50 for it to open at 10. People are not very patient
They're
about
serious about it.
Yes, very serious. I was very shocked, actually. But anyways, let's get into the weather this morning. We just have one isolated shower to make you aware of, just closer towards Indiantown early this morning and near Port Mayaca, but that's about it. As far as any action. Right now, most of us are just seeing a mix of some light cloud cover and clear skies and temperatures in the 70s. We have 75 right now in Jupiter, 77 in West Palm, and 76 in Delray Beach. High temperatures, once again, we're reaching into those lower 90s. We have a classic Florida day in store for us, which means as we get into the afternoon, your rain chances are going to start to ramp up. We can think that to this low pressure system and this boundary right here. And let me tell you, this is going to be a bit problematic for most of the week, providing us with those afternoon rain chances as this low pressure system just really digs into the area. But let's dive into today. Going through your Vipercast, stopping this now at 2:30. There you have one isolated shower to a storm on the board. As you can see, it's not a complete washout by any means, but anything that does develop, it's going to be pretty heavy. We have a lot of moisture in our atmosphere for the system to take advantage of. So likely dealing with some good downpours across the area when you do see a run into that shower or storm. Again, most of us are going to look at a fairly dry day, but one thing I just want to keep in mind, I think this does amplify that chance a bit too much, but I want to make you aware of it. We are under excessive rainfall outlook along our coast for today and across our entire area on Tuesday and Wednesday as those rain chances do